Welcome to our channel Crime Loom, the place where true crime stories come alive. The city of Ridgeway looked calm on the surface, but its streets carried secrets no one wanted to speak about. People walked past old buildings without knowing what hid inside their shadows. And on one silent night, everything changed. A man was found dead in an abandoned print shop, with no name, no clues, and no signs of how he died. There was no motive, no witness, and no justice. But one detective refused to let the mystery fade away. His name was Aaron Cole, and he was about to face a case unlike anything he had ever seen. A case that would pull him deeper into the dark corners of the city, where something powerful and silent was waiting. The night was quiet in Ridgeway City, but it was the kind of quiet that made a person uneasy. Streetlights flickered like tired eyes, and the wind moved through empty alleys as if it carried secrets. Detective Aaron Cole walked alone on Brookline Street, his coat collar pulled up and his steps slow. He was not on duty, but this part of the city always reminded him of the case that changed everything. The case everyone tried to forget. The case with no motive, no witness, and no justice. It started 6 months earlier. On a rainy evening when the city smelled like wet concrete and car exhaust, Aaron had been drinking coffee in the precinct when a young officer rushed in. He said there was a body in an abandoned print shop near the river. Aaron grabbed his badge, his notebook, and his car keys. At that time, he had no idea this simple call would become the darkest investigation of his career. When he arrived at the print shop, rain was hitting the broken windows like a drum. Inside, yellow police tape already circled the scene. The body lay on the floor, face down, clothes soaked from rain leaking through the roof. Aaron bent down, careful not to disturb anything. The victim was a man in his mid-30s. No wallet, no phone. No ID, no signs of struggle. No obvious cause of death. The young officer beside him swallowed hard and said, "It looked like the man had simply fallen and died." But Aaron felt something was wrong. Death did not walk into an abandoned building for no reason. Something brought this man here. Something unseen. The medical examiner arrived and rolled the body gently. Aaron saw the man's face for the first time. Calm, almost peaceful, except for small marks on the side of his neck. The examiner looked closely but said they were too faint to identify. Aaron wrote everything down. He always wrote more than necessary, because small details had solved many cases before. That night, he searched the building. Empty boxes, broken machines, old posters, dust everywhere. It smelled like mold and forgotten memories. Nothing looked touched. No footprints. No fingerprints. No sign that anyone else had been there. This was unusual. Bodies do not appear out of nowhere. The next day, the medical report came back. Cause of death? Unknown. No wounds. No poison found. No illness. No sign of suffocation. It was as if life had simply stopped inside him. Aaron stared at the report for a long time. The words were clean and simple, but the meaning was heavy. How do you investigate a crime when there is not even proof a crime happened? The first week was filled with dead ends. The victim's fingerprints were not in any database. No missing persons report matched him. His clothes were common. The shoes were new, but they had no brand logo. It was all too clean, too empty, as if someone wanted to erase him from the world. Still, Aaron followed every clue he found, even the ones that felt pointless. He talked to people living near the print shop. Most of them said they had not seen or heard anything. But one old man, who lived in a small apartment across the street, said he remembered seeing a car parked near the shop a few nights before the body was found. He said the car was dark blue, maybe black, and the driver kept the engine running. But he did not see the driver's face. Aaron checked traffic cameras. But of course, the camera on that street had been broken for months. Another dead end. Ridgeway City always seemed to break down at the exact moment the police needed it. 2 weeks passed. The victim's body remained unclaimed. No one called asking about him. No one cried for him. No one cursed his name. It was as if he had lived a life without connections, without friends, without family. That thought bothered Aaron deeply. Everyone leaves a mark on someone. No one exists completely alone. One night, while sitting at his desk, Aaron noticed something strange in the crime scene photos. In the background, behind a stack of old boxes, there was a faint reflection on a metal plate. He zoomed in. It was blurry, but he could see the shape of a shoe. Not the victim's shoe. The angle was wrong. This meant someone else had been in the building. Someone had watched or waited, then disappeared before the officers arrived. This discovery gave Aaron energy again. He went back to the print shop and searched the area behind the boxes. Dust covered everything, but he noticed one small footprint that had been missed before, partly smudged, almost invisible. It did not match the victim's shoes. Finally, sign of another person. He photographed it, measured it, and sent it to the lab. While waiting for results, he began checking similar buildings around the area. Abandoned spaces often had their own traffic, people hiding things, making deals, or simply looking for a quiet place to disappear. But none of them had anything useful. Then something strange happened. The lab report came back saying the footprint did not match any known shoe type. Not sport shoes. Not boots. Not formal shoes. The pattern was unusual, almost custom-made. Aaron asked the lab technician if it looked like something from another country. The technician shook her head and said she had never seen a sole pattern like that before. This made the case even more confusing. A man with no identity and no cause of death. A building with no fingerprints. A footprint from a shoe that did not exist. And no sign of motive. No sign of who gained anything from this death. The chief told Aaron to close the case, saying it was probably an accident. But Aaron refused. Something in his heart told him this was not an accident. It was too careful, too silent late at night. After everyone left the precinct, Aaron sat alone, reviewing every note. The fluorescent lights hummed above him. His coffee had gone cold. The city outside was quiet, but the silence felt wrong again, like someone was watching. He looked at the victim's face in the photo and whispered, "Someone did this to you. I know it." And in that moment, he promised himself he would not stop. Even if the case had no motive, even if no witness came forward, even if justice seemed impossible, he would find the truth hidden in the shadows of Ridgeway City, because someone out there knew exactly what happened, and Aaron Cole intended to find them. Days turned into weeks, and the city moved on, but Aaron Cole did not. He carried the case everywhere he went, even when he tried not to think about it. He kept the evidence folder on his desk, and every morning he opened it again, hoping something would look different. But the pages always stared back at him with the same empty answers. One evening, after a long shift, Aaron decided to visit the print shop again. The sky was turning orange, and clouds hung low like heavy curtains. A faint smell of rain passed through the air, though the streets were still dry. He walked slowly, hands in his pockets, thinking about the victim whose name he still didn't know. People deserved a name, even the lost ones. When he reached the print shop, he noticed something immediately. A small metal lock had been added to the chain on the door. The building had been unsealed weeks ago, and no one was supposed to touch it. Aaron bent down and examined the lock. It was new, shiny, and not rusty like the old chain. Someone had been here. Someone who did not want anyone else going inside. He pulled out his phone and called the precinct to check. If the city had ordered it locked, they said no. That meant someone unrelated to the police had done it. Someone who cared about this place for a reason. Aaron didn't break the lock. Instead, he walked around the building, checking the windows and the back door. Everything looked normal, but he couldn't shake the feeling that someone had returned to the scene. Maybe the same person who left that strange footprint. Maybe the person who knew the victim. Maybe the person who wanted the truth buried. He went home that night, but sleep did not come easily. He dreamed of shadows moving inside the print shop, footsteps that left no trace, and of a faceless man lying on the cold floor. He woke up sweating, his heart thumping in his chest. He sat up, took a deep breath, and told himself he needed answers, no matter where they led. The next morning, he visited the neighborhood again. This time, he focused on the small shops and old buildings near the print shop. He talked to store owners, mechanics, delivery drivers, anyone who worked in the area often enough to notice something unusual. Most people shrugged or said they didn't pay attention to the old print shop. It had been empty for years, but a woman who ran a nearby laundromat said something useful. She said she sometimes saw a man standing across the street at night, leaning against a streetlight, watching the building. She said he always wore dark clothes and a hat that covered half his face. She didn't know his name, and she never saw him enter the shop. He only watched when Erin asked if she saw him recently. She nodded. She said she saw him 2 nights ago, just before closing time. Erin thanked her and continued gathering information. But everything he learned pointed to the same thing. Someone had been keeping an eye on the print shop for a long time. Someone careful. Someone silent. That night, he decided to stake out the area. He sat in his car with the engine off, windows slightly open, waiting. The hours passed slowly. People walked by after work, then disappeared as the night grew colder. At midnight, the street became almost empty. Then, around 1 in the morning, saw something move. A man stepped out from behind a delivery truck and walked toward the print shop. His steps were quiet, his hands in his pockets, his hat pulled low. It matched the description from the laundromat owner perfectly. Erin's heart beat faster, but he didn't move. He watched the man stop a few feet from the door. He didn't try to open it. He just stood there, staring at the building, as if listening to something only he could hear. After a minute, he looked around cautiously. His face was still mostly hidden by the hat, but his movements were strange slow, controlled, like someone trying not to disturb the air. Then he turned and walked down the street away from the print shop. Erin followed him quietly, keeping a good distance. The man walked with purpose, but never fast. Every few minutes he glanced over his shoulder, like someone used to being hunted or someone with too many secrets. After 6 blocks, the man entered a narrow alley behind an old warehouse. Erin stopped at the corner and peeked around. The alley was long, filled with dumpsters and broken crates, but the man was gone. There was no door nearby, no open window, no turn he could have taken so quickly. It was impossible. Erin stepped deeper into the alley, shining his small flashlight. Nothing, no footprints, no movement, only silence. It felt like the man had vanished into the air. Erin walked to the end of the alley, checked every corner, every shadow, but he found nothing. When he returned to his car, the street was empty again, and the quiet felt heavier than before. Something unusual was happening in Ridgeway City, and he didn't know how to describe it yet. The next day, he told the chief about the man he saw, but the chief dismissed it as someone being curious. Erin didn't argue, but he knew it was more than that. Too many strange things had happened already. He spent the next week reviewing more surveillance footage, even from nearby streets. Most cameras were old and blurry, but one from a convenience store caught a strange moment. The same dark figure walked past the store, but the camera glitched for a second when he passed by. The video skipped a frame. Just one. But it was enough for Erin to notice. People do not cause cameras to glitch simply by walking near them. He saved the clip and watched it over and over. He zoomed in, trying to see the man's face, but the image was too grainy. He wondered if the glitch was a coincidence or something more. Technology sometimes failed, but not usually in the exact moment someone walked past. That night, as he drove home, he felt something odd. The street seemed darker than usual. Street lights flickered again. His rearview mirror showed an empty road, but he felt watched. He parked outside his apartment and sat for a moment, breathing slowly. The city was quiet, too quiet. When he stepped out of his car, he noticed something on the ground near his door. A single piece of paper, folded once. He picked it up and opened it. Inside, there were only 4 words, written in neat handwriting. Stop searching. Stop now. Erin stood still, the paper trembling slightly in his hand. Someone knew what he was doing. Someone was close enough to leave this message without being seen. Someone wanted him away from the truth. But Erin Cole was not the kind of man who backed down from shadows. He looked into the empty street and whispered, "I'm not stopping," 'cause now, for the first time, he was sure of one thing. The case was far from over. Erin stared at the message long after the street went silent again. The paper felt heavier than it should, as if it carried a threat behind its simple words. He looked around, but no one was there. No footsteps. No car engine. No sound at all. Whoever left the message had done it quietly and without fear of being caught. That meant they were either very confident or very familiar with the shadows of Ridgeway City. Inside his apartment, Aaron placed the note on his table and sat down. He knew the warning was serious, but it also told him something important. Someone was watching his every move. That meant he was close to something, even if he didn't know what it was yet. People did not warn others unless they were afraid of what might be discovered. As he sat there thinking, he heard a faint buzz from his computer. An email had arrived. He opened it and saw no sender name, no subject line, just a single link. He hesitated. It could be dangerous. But something inside him insisted he needed to see it. He clicked the link. A video opened. The screen was dark at first. Then slowly, an image appeared. It was the print shop, the same room where the victim had been found. The view came from a corner he did not recognize. Maybe a hidden camera. Aaron leaned forward as two figures entered the frame. One was the victim. The other was the tall man he had seen watching the building at night, the man who vanished after entering the alley. The victim looked nervous, his hands shaking. The tall man placed something on the table. It was small, metallic, and shaped like a narrow device. The victim picked it up, stared at it, and nodded as if he understood something important. Then the tall man stepped behind him, put a hand on his neck, and the victim fell to the ground instantly, without struggle. Aaron's heart froze as he watched. It wasn't a fight. It wasn't an accident. It was controlled, quick, and silent. The tall man bent down, checked the victim's pulse, then lifted the body onto the floor exactly where the police had found it. He wiped every surface he touched. Then he turned toward the hidden camera. For a moment, his face was visible, but as the camera tried to focus, the image flickered and distorted, like the camera was unable to fully capture him. His features shifted, blurred by some interference. Then he walked away. The video ended. Aaron sat back in his chair, breathing slowly. He replayed the video several times, trying to understand what he had seen. The man was not normal. His movements were too smooth, too precise. And the device he placed on the table looked like nothing Aaron had seen before. He tried to trace the email's source, but it was impossible. Whoever sent it knew how to hide their tracks. But they wanted Aaron to see the truth. The victim was murdered, and the killer was not just a dangerous man. It was something different. The next morning, Aaron went straight to the precinct. He showed the video to his closest colleague, Officer Maya Grant, someone he trusted more than anyone. She watched it in silence, her jaw tight. When the video ended, she looked at him. "This is real?" "It arrived last night," Aaron said. No sender. No message. Just this. Maya replayed the part where the killer's face blurred. "What kind of camera does that? It looks like the picture can't catch him." "I don't know," Aaron said. "But whoever he is, he's careful. Too careful." They agreed not to show the video to the chief yet. The chief had already wanted the case closed. And something told Aaron that revealing the video without proof of its origin would cause trouble. They needed more evidence first. Aaron and Maya returned to the print shop later that day. The new lock was still on the door, untouched. They went around the back, checking windows again. Nothing unusual. But just as they were about to leave, Maya noticed something small on the ground near the wall. A piece of metal, thin and shaped, almost like a blade. Aaron picked it up with gloves. It looked like a fragment of the device from the video. That meant someone had dropped it recently. They placed it in an evidence bag and sent it to the lab. That night, as Aaron walked back to his car, he sensed something behind him. He turned quickly, but the street was empty. Still, he couldn't shake the feeling. The city felt wrong again, like something watched him from the corners of buildings or the spaces between streetlights. He started his car and drove home. But halfway there, the radio suddenly went dead. Then the streetlights ahead flickered violently before turning off completely. The entire block went dark. Aaron slowed down, gripping the wheel tightly. Then he saw him, the tall man from the video, standing in the center of the road, motionless, staring at the car. His hat was gone, revealing a pale face with sharp features and eyes that did not seem fully human. They were too dark, too reflective. Like mirrors, Aaron stopped the car and stepped out slowly, keeping his hand near his holster. "What do you want?" Aaron asked. The man didn't move at first. Then he spoke, his voice smooth and cold. "You should have stopped searching." Aaron took a small step forward. "Why did you kill him?" The man tilted his head. He knew something he should not have known. "You are close to learning it too." "Who are you?" Aaron said. The man smiled, a small, unnatural smile. "Someone who keeps balance. Someone who removes problems quietly." Aaron's hand tightened. "Is that what I am? A problem?" The man stepped closer, and the streetlights flickered back to life for a moment, casting a strange glow over his face. "You ask questions that do not belong to you. Walk away, and you will live. Continue, and you will end the same way he did." Aaron took another step. "I don't walk away." The man stopped smiling. "Then your fate is sealed." Before Aaron could react, the man's figure seemed to blur, like heat rising from asphalt. Then he vanished, disappearing right in front of him. Aaron looked around wildly, but the street was empty again. The lights came back on slowly, one by one, as if nothing had happened. But Aaron knew better. He got back into his car, his heart racing. He now understood why there had been no motive, no witness, no justice, because the killer was not like anyone else. The next morning, Aaron received the lab report. The metal fragment was not made of any material known in police databases. The structure was too advanced, too refined. The technician even joked it looked like something from another world. Aaron didn't laugh. He placed the report next to the video and the warning note. The truth was becoming clearer, but also more frightening. Ridgeway City had a killer that could not be traced. A killer that erased evidence, moved in silence, and manipulated technology. A killer that didn't belong to this world, but Aaron Cole made a silent promise as he looked at everything spread across his desk. He would not stop, even if the truth led him into darkness, even if the justice he sought was impossible. Because someone had to stand against the shadows, and Aaron was ready to face whatever waited in them. The case that began with no motive, no witness, and no justice became something far greater than anyone in Ridgeway City could imagine. Detective Aaron Cole walked through fear, shadows, and danger, chasing a truth that most people would have run from. He stood face to face with a power that moved in silence and erased every trace it left behind. But even when the city tried to hide the truth, Aaron refused to back down. His fight was not just for one victim, but for everyone living under the weight of secrets they could not see. And though the mystery was far from over, one thing was clear: the shadows feared him now, because he was ready to keep searching, no matter how dark the path became. For watching more amazing videos like this, subscribe our channel Crime Loom.